How you doing, Libra? Did a video for you earlier, but I just really wasn't all that jazzed about it. I'm going to try again. Just some more Mercury retrograde crap, you know. Let's do a 9-card spread. First card out, Four of Swords. So, you're feeling that rest right now. Maybe you got through with something that was like really trying. A situation that you feel like, you know, was a shock or a surprise, or it's something that you feel like you have to rest from or rejuvenate from, something that could have worn you out. This also could be a card of, you know, maybe rehab, you know, just taking a time out, but you're definitely trying to rejuvenate. Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords, and that Three of Swords is usually after a betrayal and trying to pull themselves together afterwards. Why do you have this Four of Swords, Libra? Why are you at rest? Why do you feel like you need to rejuvenate? Four of Coins. So, maybe a situation happened that it financially hurt you. There could have been some kind of judgment or some kind of payout that you had to pay out that was like unexpected. Maybe some kind of huge expense or like a large bill. But now you're just trying to take time out. You're trying to gain your strength after whatever happened. And you're trying to put away money because maybe whatever happened, it deeply affected you financially. It could have been even a job loss. And now you're worrying about money. But it's something that you feel like was unjust, and now you feel like you have to hold on to whatever you have. Why is that? Why do you feel like you gotta hold on to everything? Judgment. So a judgment was made. Maybe, you know, it could have been like, maybe it could have been a court case or something. Maybe you had to pay somebody out. It could have been like anything, like a divorce. See this family here. Or maybe some kind of separation. But you had to make a choice, or a choice was made about you and or your situation collectively. And you know, you're just trying to rest from it because it was really emotionally trying. It was like financially trying, but you know, and maybe you feel like you have to cut your losses with something and pick up what you got left, and you have to make a final judgment into moving on. Because, you know, it was called. It's like stick a fork in you, you're done. Why was this judgment here? What happened? I mean, why was this judgment? What's this? Did this flip? What's this judgment? Libra. Two of Swords. So, it's a stalemate. Actually, well, no, a judgment. A judgment was made, and now you're trying to block yourself from a situation. Like, it could have been like I don't know, I could see you blocking yourself. A decision had to be made, And now after this judgment was made, a betrayal happened, it hit you financially, and you felt like it was depleting you because, you know, you had to make a judgment. And now after this situation happened, you made a decision about it, you cut your losses, and now you're blocking people out. You're trying to make a head over heart decision, or a head and heart decision actually, and you're blocking people out until you could do that, because you feel like you had to cut your losses, and you had to pick up and leave, and because it was just too much. It was just too much. You felt like you were screwed over, to be honest, Libra. And you feel like you had to do what you had to do. And now you have to block people out who you felt like betrayed you, and you're moving away. 6 of Swords. You're blocking people out that kind of like, after a betrayal happened, something really surprised you. You made a judgment, and now you're moving away. There's so many swords here, so you're going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of worries, a lot of anxiousness. And you're worried about what you're going to do now because, like, you feel like you're depleted. So tell me about the others. Let me see about what's the others involved. Okay. Ooh. Page of Swords in reverse. So this could have been spying. Somebody was spying on you. Even though maybe somebody is not very communicative. They're not speaking to you. They blocked you out, but they were spying. Or maybe you were spying on them, and maybe you had a lot of, like, you know, they're high conflict, or they could speak really immaturely, or they never really they're not very communicative. You know, they never really, they have communication issues. You know, they can be really immature. They can speak without thinking. And you feel like, you know, there's no getting along. It's just constant. You're like constantly butting heads. And a big blew out happened, and now it's like maybe you're still watching each other, but I don't even think you're watching anymore. You're just trying to move on from this, but somebody could be watching you. And, you know, it's like you don't even want to deal with it anymore because, you know, like, you feel like you had to make a judgment and walk away because you guys can't communicate. You don't communicate well. What else? Was this other person involved with Libra or other situation? Yes. So, Page of Swords in reverse. Someone's not speaking to you either. Somebody feels like they just can't win. They feel like they took a really big loss, and they feel like other people see them as like they lost as well. They feel like maybe they felt played even, or, you know, they just are not feeling good about themselves. They don't want to work with you either anymore, you know. 3 of Coins in reverse. There's just no cooperation, and they don't want to cooperate anymore. Maybe they have a lot of things going on with them, and they're just not communicative either, and they're just keeping everything in, and maybe they want to be victorious out of a situation, but they know that they can't, and they just don't think that they would get what they want out of this situation anymore. And nobody's working with each other anymore, and it's like everybody's just kind of like moving a different way, even though the other person involved with you, Libra, even though they're not speaking, I feel like they do want it to be victorious, but they feel like there's no working together on the situation, and they feel like it's going to be a loss, you know, and they don't want to speak and put into this anymore because they feel like it's like they won't get the benefit that they want out of this, because they feel like there's no working together in this situation. Maybe in the past that they didn't want to work together because they felt like they couldn't be victorious, and they didn't. This could be even someone who lies and keeps secrets, someone who didn't want to communicate because they weren't feeling victorious. They feel like they were feeling really bad about themselves, and maybe they were playing some kind of games and they didn't really want to be cooperative or work with you. Maybe they were playing some kind of games, but then it left them regretful because they didn't want to work with you, because they felt like they couldn't win on this situation. And then so they didn't communicate, but they're regretful about it now. They didn't feel like this would be victorious, and or the situation. They knew that you guys weren't working well together. Three of Coins in reverse. There's no cooperation. Possibly could have even been a third party. Maybe somebody was trying to juggle in a way, but now they're regretful of it. It's either that, or it just could be like someone who didn't want to work with you. Maybe because they didn't feel like they would get the result that they wanted. Because maybe there was other situation, extenuating situations. Queen of Coins. Queen of Coins. Now, it could be dealing with an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo. I can't even think anymore. But whatever the case, though, someone's regretful over this earth sign, Capricorn. Gee whiz, my brain. I don't know. Someone's regretful now over this Queen of Coins. You could be possibly the Queen of Coins. The Queen of Coins, they're a nurturer. They could be like they're very practical. They take care of the tangible things, money, house, home. They're a good mother. They could be a mother. But they're very nurturing. And somebody feels like is regretful because they see you as someone who's very nurturing and somebody who's very abundant now. But in the past, they didn't see that. This was something that could work out because maybe somebody else wanted to play and they didn't want to be cooperative because maybe they wanted that lot of options, but now they left somebody and they're regretful, or maybe somebody left them. Situation. So the situation, the Emperor could have been dealing with an Aries or a boss. But this is usually that CEO boss. He's like definitely Aries archetype, or could be. This is someone who's very assertive. They know what they want. They're the boss figure. They, they have everything laid out. They can be particular to the point of rigid. Maybe you feel like the situation, it could be a boss situation, or whatever this, a person, Aries that came in, Four of Cups, the situation, maybe there was an Aries involved, Libra, and this could have been that's stupid Mercury stuff. I'm so sick of hearing this. Maybe it could have been like a third party kind of situation way, or maybe somebody propositioned you and you weren't, or maybe you ran into an Aries and you had a situation with an Aries, but it didn't really work out. That Aries or you felt like this wasn't right and you weren't really interested, even though it was a gift from the universe and the divine that came in. It was like, you weren't interested, maybe because you had a lot of other options going on, and maybe it's not even like a relationship, like a third person relationship. It could have been a lot of issues too. Like maybe the third person was like a job. Maybe you worked all of the time because you always felt like you never had enough. Maybe you had a lot of bills that you had going on, or maybe this is a family member, like you had a sick family member that took up a lot of your time. But everything, it just seemed like it was a lot, like you were spread really thin, and that's why you felt like you had to limit on how much you gave out. You had to make a judgment call because it was like a lot of people were just expecting a whole bunch from you. And the thing is, it was like you felt like that maybe it wasn't even reciprocal in many ways. Like somebody wasn't really cooperative. Somebody wasn't really like straightforward in the situation or showed you any kind of like vigor to like add anything into the situation. And it could be anything, like a home, work, or something. And maybe it was somebody that was around and just kind of around for the ride, or kind of like a boss that kind of shorted you, or kind of like not paid you what you're worth, or you could have been dealing with like a really selfish friend or family member or boss that just kind of took advantage of you, and you feel like you gave a lot to a situation and you didn't want to keep it overextending yourself because you feel burnt out. It's just too much. And you had to make a judgment call and move away because you felt like it was like draining you. And this person feels, maybe this person could be like kind of codependent in a way too. It's someone who is like a failure to launch. Like they're not independent on what they do for themselves, and they expect a lot from you all of the time. But then, because they're going through some kind of low point, or maybe somebody that you're dealing with is like, maybe could be going through some kind of depression. And, they feel some kind of loss, and it was like or they were like, even like a sickness that came about, or some kind of depression. This could be even you like trying to like help somebody in particular, maybe a friend that was like sick, or a family member that was sick, and is like, or even like a significant other, and you just kept on pulling the weight out of it, but then you don't want to do it anymore because they depleted you, because you kept on overcompensating because they would play the helpless, like, I can't do it, like, you know, nothing's working for me. And then you would overcompensate to the fact that, you know, like, you felt depleted and you had to make a judgment call and cut it out. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if this is, it could be a job in the situation, or, I mean, if it was like, you're not really interested in the situation anymore because you feel like, you know, 9 of Coins, or the situation itself. You could have been dealing with an Aries, and whatever happened, maybe they feel like they didn't want to deal with you anymore, vice versa, or you didn't want to deal with them because you wanted to be independent on your own, or maybe they did. Maybe both of you, maybe one of you did. The Aries, maybe it was the Aries that's no longer interested. Maybe they offered you something and you wanted to be on your own because, you know, you were filling your own cups. Maybe you had a lot of options out there, and maybe this Aries did offer you something and you weren't really interested at the time because you had other stuff going on. So that Aries decided to nurture themselves and to fill their own cup. And maybe you decided to do that the same. But I could definitely see that there's a separation now with all these 9s here. You weren't interested. Maybe this Aries did offer you something and you weren't really interested. So this Aries went off on their own because you went out for other options, and or maybe this Aries left and they went to fill their own cup as well. They wanted a new beginning then, or maybe you did as well too. 2 of Clubs. Because maybe you want to offer this Aries again now because you're regretful and you saw her as somebody that can be really nurturing and loving, and maybe at the time they were going through a hard time, and it could have been something like too much of a responsibility for you. Maybe the person that you were dealing with was going through a hard time, but it's like, I can't, like, I'm burnt out, like I can't give everything. And this person was going through a really hard time and they felt like they were down and out, and maybe they felt like at the time they needed someone to be there, and maybe they expected you to be there for them, or thought that you could or would, and you know, it didn't work out. What is this? I don't know. Curious now. But this is definitely about some kind of ending, and now you're moving away from it. So 4 of Swords, you're at rest now. You're not talking with this Aries. Now everybody is like keeping to their own selves, so they don't want to lose anything because they feel threatened by the situation. They feel like they're not going to win with the situation. And so it's like you don't want to take any offers or give out any offers with the situation because like you feel like you wouldn't be victorious with it. A judgment had to be made and it's like not working, you know. Maybe something was found out about like a third party situation, or like there's just too many responsibilities that was taking, like you couldn't focus on the situation. And you just had to be like, you had to work on yourself, or maybe, you know, this person, you didn't want to work, you had to make a judgment because you didn't want to work with this person because maybe you felt like it would be too much of a financial loss. Like maybe this person could have like lost their job or been kind of down and out, and you didn't want to have to be like responsible for that or carry that because you felt burnt out on your own. Now, whatever the case, maybe you had a lot of other things going on. Maybe you did have a third party or a lot of other options going on. And it's like, maybe I don't want to deal with this because somebody looks like they're going through a really rough time, and maybe I don't know how to communicate with it. Maybe it's just too much for me to deal with. Like maybe, like, what do you do when somebody's going through a hard time? Is it something that like, is it too much like to deal with? Like, do I not want to get involved? Am I too depleted right now to even have an emotional conversation? Or like an emotional entanglement like this? Maybe you tend to get uncomfortable when there's like a lot of display of emotion, and maybe you get like thrown off in a way that you don't know how to speak, you don't know how to handle it. But whatever happened, you guys, or did somebody block the other out? Maybe that other person could have blocked you out, or, you know, you ended up blocking each other out. And you feel like, you know, maybe if you could have thought about something to say at the time, or maybe whatever other options that you got done with, there was an issue that actually it gave you a lot of loss that you were done dealing with, and now you're kind of you feel regretful, like you lost out, because now that you're done with whatever situation that was taking up a lot of your time, and now you're like freed up on it, even though you're like wounded and burnt out and financially strained, and you're moving away because, like, you know, you're looking back on the situation and you do feel regretful of, maybe I could have handled this better, instead of just like, you know, cutting out and run and just taking care of what I need to do and for myself. Maybe that was like a defense mechanism because you didn't really know what to do. You didn't know what you could do, really. And you decided to leave this, like, it could have been like a Capricorn behind, because you thought maybe they were going through something that you just couldn't, you didn't know how to be there to help them with it, because you felt like, you know, you just didn't have all of your own resources together to like take that on. Maybe you felt drained for a really long time, and you came to this situation and point of time, and it's like maybe you have trouble like expressing that emotions or speaking that emotions. It's because, you know, you haven't worked that out a lot either, or maybe you're trying to get over something or get, some kind of, you're trying to get over a loss and you came towards this person and, or is out of some kind of depression and you came towards this person, they were down and out too. And, kind of feel having their own pity party, and, or maybe it could have been a friend and they reached out and wanted to talk to you, and it was like you feel like you didn't feel like you had much to give, like you didn't know how to like make anyone feel better about the situation. I don't know. But it could have been a mother, or maybe an ex-girlfriend or a sister, but somebody is definitely going through some bad times, if somebody is not communicating with you anymore and somebody feels like they lost a lot. Maybe they're trying to juggle too many things, and then, everything else started to suffer, and now they're really regretful for it, because then it's like they had to try to be that rock and that strength for everybody, and it's like they felt like they couldn't do it all on their own. And maybe in a way you felt that too, and you didn't want to be responsible for that. It was like, what did you expect? What do you expect me to do? What could I do for you? Because you're just kind of barely hanging on yourself. You're kind of going through your own things right now, and it's like two people who are kind of going through things, and it's like without the communication skills to try to work that out with other people, or maybe you tend to go within when you're not feeling well, and maybe this person does too. There's a lack of communication, and maybe you guys mirror each other to a certain degree, that when things are going wrong, like you don't seek out to have communication or to talk. You kind of just go within yourselves, and you tend to isolate, and you keep yourselves away from other people, and maybe this person tends to too. And maybe it becomes like a lack of communication kind of things, like a lack of like that emotional, like emotional language, like how am I even gonna convey it? When it comes to Libra too, it's like you guys can be so enigmatic, like you are the town mayors. You go and you're the life of the party, but they don't really know like how much like it that goes through the day to try to keep everything balanced within yourself, whether it's like, your work and your home, your kids, your life, and like your significant other, your errands, like all of it, or even emotionally balanced as well. It's like a constant teeter-tottering, and maybe lately you've been feeling pretty heavy after something really big that happened, and now you're just trying to pick up where you left off, and maybe this person is too. Even though this person is regretful and they're not speaking because they feel like they can't win, and they don't want to work with the situation anymore because they have other things that they gotta worry about too. It's just like really people who just seemed like kind of emotionally drained. And it's okay, because if you try to force a conversation or an issue when things even though you know you're not, you're just trying to be done with it and move away because it's just so exhausting. It's so exhausting for you. And now you two are both kind of like are going through this loss and this like a little bit of a grief. And you're trying to stay balanced from it by cutting yourself off because you felt like you gave so much to the situations that it depleted you. And, you know, you're looking for something new. Maybe you're trying to collaborate with something new, something brand new. Somebody's just trying to move on to something brand new. You don't want to deal with it anymore. But what's this Two of Clubs here? What's underneath the moon? Unknown. That's so... Maybe something's going to come up in the next full moon. Possibly. Maybe you want to send a message out to an Aries. Because maybe there was a separation for a really long time. And now with this long time of you being apart, you feel regretful. And you want to give out kind of like an offer. But you don't think that this Aries will accept it. You see them as working on themselves, abundant on their own with many different options, wanting something new. You possibly think that they're working together with somebody else, so you're let's see. Let's see some clarifiers. See some clarifiers. You made a judgment call after you felt like you couldn't juggle anymore, that you didn't want to work with somebody anymore, and you wanted to be on your own. You're blocking people out now, and you feel regretful, or you're regretful of how much you put into this situation. Maybe you felt like somebody else had a lot of options. Or maybe you had a lot of other options, but now you're regretful because something else didn't work out and now you're moving away. Or you're moving away. You're wanting to nourish yourself now. Or maybe this other person that you want to go towards is like trying to nourish themselves. And you're moving away from all the past drama because like you're done, you had it. You're worn out. You don't want to give anymore to any situation that feels draining, that doesn't want to work with you. That's somebody that you have to carry. And you want something brand new. I didn't even clarify. King of Wands in reverse. You could be dealing with an Aries, but this is somebody that's like really like it can be impulsive. It can be follows his passion, but it's not practical, someone who can be like, has a lot of options, who's impulsive, who doesn't finish what they start, who doesn't even start what they know that they should. It's someone who doesn't have any kind of like staying power or no kind of like passion for a situation. You know, you could be feeling really apathetic right now, like you just, or you checked out, you know, you checked out. And you're trying to keep things to yourself, and you're trying to recoup from losses that you had with this person, because there was a big financial loss that happened. It could have been like a unexpected repair, or some kind of like a move that you had to do, or breakup. It could have been a breakup, or just something that was done really impulsively, but it definitely financially hurt you. And you feel like now you're not giving to the situation. Impulsive choices were made. Maybe you went into something over like just for passion, and you didn't want to give to a situation anymore, but you felt stuck in a situation, like you felt stuck in maybe a relationship that went bad. And you know, this could be someone that kind of screwed you over, and you put a lot into this, and now you don't want to give it, you don't want to give anymore to the situation. But you feel like you were stuck for a really long time, and you didn't have any passion for it, because like you feel screwed over and taken advantage for. But now you made a judgment call, because there was secrets here. There was something that wasn't unknown, and maybe a lack of communication. Somebody wasn't communicating with you, and you decided to block it out, because hey, if you're not going to be honest or communicative, and I'm going to have to block you out, and I'm going to have to move away from the situation, because you know, somebody seemed like they wanted to control you. Somebody, an emperor in reverse, like somebody who seemed like really controlling, somebody who was like keeping secrets. I mean, or somebody who is like, who wanted all of the control in this situation. Maybe the world in reverse. Whatever judgment that was made, you know, maybe you didn't even communicate it with, maybe you just ghosted somebody and they blocked you out. Maybe you didn't want to be communicative with, or they didn't, you know, they try to make some clarity over the situation, but they felt like you lacked any communication, and you know, they felt like it was a situation that was getting out of control, and maybe somebody felt insecure and they try to control the situation. But then because they knew that you were moving away, that you were checked out, you were moving away, and then somebody didn't want this ending, the world in reverse. They wanted to go towards an ending, or, you know, what is this world in reverse? But then you wanted to put an end to it, but then for some reason you're having trouble letting it go, and it's keeping you up at night. And now it's like playing again over and over in your head on how you finally got away from the situation. You ran into something that was a little impulsive. You didn't think about the consequences of it. Maybe somebody feels like that you were hiding something, and because you weren't being communicative, or somebody or they didn't want to be communicated with you, so somebody decided to not deal with it at all, or they didn't want to work it out and they moved away and they wanted to put an ending, but it was like you feel like you can't let this go. Page of Swords. Now this person isn't speaking to you and they're holding back as well. Maybe you started holding back because you feel like there was just these extenuating circumstances that like it wasn't something that was gonna be long lasting, and you're a practical person, like you don't want to invest in a bunch of things that it's not going to give you anything in return. Or, let's see. There's no communication. Somebody's holding back. Somebody doesn't feel victorious in the situation. And now it's like the High Priestess in reverse, because something came out. Secrets came out. Somebody's not talking to you anymore, they're holding back and they don't feel victorious. Secrets came out about a third party, or maybe that there was plans to leave the situation. Maybe they were planning to leave the situation because they were dealing with somebody else and they didn't want to invest in it anymore, and maybe that they were even like using you for money for a while because they weren't investing anything. They were just putting their money away. Maybe they felt like instead of working on themselves, they were just they needed to work on themselves possibly, but they didn't want to put the work in. It really is what it was. Maybe because they had a lot of other things going on, and secrets came out. Secrets came out that about a lost work. Secrets came out that maybe somebody didn't want to work with this person anymore, or they got let go from a job and they were having money problems and they were feeling down and out. Maybe they were having money problems and they had a job loss and they were just kind of like not feeling their best. They were regretful and they were just crying over spilled milk. Now, 9 of Wands in reverse. They don't want to be defensive anymore. They just want to nurture themselves. And maybe they just got out of a high conflict situation. Maybe they just got let go of a job. Or maybe that there's like some huge financial loss that happened and they feel like that you don't want to work with them anymore. And they feel like they were all alone financially. They didn't feel victorious. They were kind of like feeling regretful, and maybe there was a lot of conflict going on around them and they just didn't want to fight anymore. It's like, I just don't want to fight. Like you both seem like so apathetic, like you just so checked out. And this Queen of Swords here was going through money trouble, and maybe this person was really off balance. Maybe this person just had like a job loss or something and was going through money trouble. And it was like, do I even have like the emotional fortitude to deal with this person with everything that they're going through too? Because it seems like you're going through something as well. And now this Emperor, Five of Swords in reverse. It's like they don't even want to argue anymore. I don't want to argue anymore. Like I don't even care to win anymore. Like I'm just gonna, be my own boss. I need to take care of myself and what I need to do. And I'm not even gonna argue. Like I don't want to deal with this. Like you may be going through your things, but I'm going through my own things now. And it's like I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to argue and I don't want to fight. And somebody was going through something really bad and they didn't know how to deal with it themselves. And it looks like you were going through something and it was like it was two people that's just too depleted. And it's like it was overwhelming and you didn't, like this person was overwhelmed and maybe that they reacted in a bad way because they felt like their security was being affected and they didn't know how to handle it. And so it affected your guys' relationship. And it was like you're not in the best place to deal with it either because you're burnt out on everything that you need to do. Maybe that there was a lot of responsibility that you're dealing with too. But it just all seemed too much, And it's like I can't deal with it. I can't juggle, and you don't want to fight. And neither did this person. Now, Two of Pentacles in reverse. This is overwhelmed. Like I feel overwhelmed. I can't juggle it all. Something's got to give. And it's like, what's got to give? The thing that gives me stress. I got to do this on my own. I got to fill my own cups. Like, I got to worry about what I need to do. And like, be okay. Oh my goodness. This is all upside down. The situation is that you were both kind of needing to work on yourselves and you were both kind of like maybe you're both just really independent people. You're not used to having that conversation skills or trying to work things out in a communicative way. Maybe you were both like really reserved in certain ways, and it's like there's definitely a communication thing here. But it was like not only communication just independently, but like even together as well in general. Three of Coins. You don't want to be defensive. You don't want to work together and you don't want to fight and you don't want to be defensive. So this person wants to go in and be regretful on their own because they felt like there was a loss at that time. And they had to nourish themselves in their own home, and they kind of blocked you out. They don't want to fight. I just don't want to fight. And it's like this Aries, it's like, listen, like there was juggling going on here, or I'm just too overwhelmed. I can't. Something had to give. There was like an ending into the argument or dealing with the situation or juggling you and this person or everything in between in general. And it's like, oh, well, I'll just cut my losses. I'll start working on what I need to work on. And, my own abundance independently and fill my own cup. Because, like, I feel like I need to work on my own skills and my own financial health. And maybe you guys came to that conclusion on yourselves because you felt like you don't want to be totally like you're emotionally just drained and you're trying to come out of it. Now you feel like there's a lot of options coming up, but you don't know what that is. You feel like, you're feeling kind of down, Libra. What's this Ace of Cups? There could have been a loss. Maybe it could have been like a loss, like a loss of a job. Maybe it could have been even a loss, like a loss of a child, possibly. But there is some kind of loss here. And you feel like that there is nothing like that good could come out of it. We can't work together anymore. And now I need to start something on our own, independently, and waiting for my ships to come in elsewhere. Or you have hopes, even though you hope to work together with somebody, and there is a hope for something to work together. It just didn't really work out. So let's see. I feel like you guys just have really bad communication. You guys can't communicate, and there's no communication here. Maybe you guys just felt too overwhelmed and too emotionally drained. Maybe it could have been this coronavirus, this isolation, and since then it's like everyone's trying to recoup their losses and feeling emotionally and physically overwhelmed and the stress of it all. And you guys came together at really bad points, and Knight of Clubs. So you rushed into something, or really impulsively, or and maybe as a distraction wise, a pure impulse, you rushed in without thinking. Maybe both of you did, as a distraction wise, to get your mind off of things. But then by other people, maybe a Virgo came in, or you could have that in your chart, Libra. You try to manifest something, and you try to go in without thinking impulsively, maybe for a night of passion. And maybe somebody was going through a hard time and they wanted more, and you didn't. And now you're regretful. And maybe you're regretful. Well, it seems like, you feel like you can't get the situation out of your head. Something really big happened, a huge loss, and you're looking back on this situation and you're wondering why you can't shake this, even though you're just trying to pick up where you left off. What you should do. You went in impulsively, both of you did. You try to manifest something, possibly even do a sleight of hand, maybe like try to go in and create something new, or try to present yourselves in a certain way, or vice versa, they you. Or you try to, I don't know, maybe this was a distraction. You went in for passion, try to make something, but justice came for this Virgo, for somebody who acted impulsively, and maybe it's time to just cut it out, because this Virgo Libra, this is you. You're trying to manifest something new. You're just trying to keep yourself balanced. You guys need to be more balanced within each other, and maybe you guys just throw each other off of balance, because maybe it's just like somebody's not, maybe neither of you are very communicative. Maybe you both can be really impulsive when you're not feeling really well, and you search for a different distraction with other people, and you have a lot of conflict that comes out from it. Somebody wants to come in, Knight of Swords, coming in with a message of truth, clarity, or some kind of message. Somebody wants to come in and cut this out. I gotta cut this out. I want to be just in the situation and fair. I want to be logical about the situation and cut out the situation and be straightforward with the situation. Because I was impulsive before. I'm trying to manifest something, and I'm trying to make things right, and I'm just trying to be logical, and you feel like you have to do this because it's the right thing to do, it's the just things to do, is to go in and tell. It seems like you could do something really impulsive, and because something was found out, and now you want to go in with truth. Somebody's going to come in and speak the truth to you, and because they feel like, or you're going to speak the truth to them, and they feel like, because you feel like this is just to be clear, I want to cut this out. I'm going to speak this truth. Because I have, what? 7 of Cups. This is many options. I'm going to speak the truth. Maybe I had a lot of options. 4 of Clubs. Maybe somebody wants to speak the truth that they have other options, and they think that they're going to come in and say that I want stability, but I don't think this person, or maybe you want to go in and say that you want stability or that you want to cut it out, but I don't think you're seeing this. I don't know. Maybe you're unsure what you're going to get out of this. 4 of Clubs. You're unsure what this communication will bring, even though it's just. You're going to be fair. You're saying maybe you're going to go in and say, hey, I'm going to move or quit or something. I got other options, and something that's going to make me, I need more, something that's going to make me more balanced. Maybe you went in really impulsive in this situation. But somebody, or maybe somebody's going to come in really impulsively and for passion. Page of Cups in reverse, but it's not going to be anything that's really big. You want to say that maybe it could be a Virgo coming your way and Libra in their chart, saying that, oh, 10 of Pentacles, I want to work with you, I want to build with you, things like that. It's just because it's the right thing to do, because, you know, you could be at a distance. Maybe there's a distance between you guys, and maybe you want to bring in clarity, and you feel that it's just to communicate with this person and, you know, be honest with this person. Just after this separation, this person cut you out and you feel like it was unjust. or they felt like it was unjust that you cut them out, that you stopped communicating with them, and you weren't, and there was a separation. So they they felt like they were treated unfairly by you, or vice versa. So they felt like it was unjust, so they wanted to be logical about the situation. So then they want to be able to speak the truth about and see the truth. Say, I don't want to deal with this anymore. You know, I have other options and I want to find my own stability. Now, maybe they went into themselves for a long time, and now this someone that is someone who doesn't listen to their intuition, who doesn't take the time to think things through. Maybe they were really like meditative for a long time, and now they're coming out of being alone. They are cutting things out because they felt like it was an unjust situation. They felt like, you know, and now you feel like it's just to communicate with them, but they felt like you were unjust to them. And the communication, a lack of going within because of a lot of options. Because somebody wasn't listening to their intuition because they felt like they had a lot of other options. And it was toxic because of it. There was a lot of other options, and it could be dealing with someone in their Capricorn or you in their chart. And the other options was maybe maybe you had a commitment already. And maybe somebody felt like that you had a commitment already and they felt like this was toxic. And then they had to cut it out, yeah. Libra. Maybe you weren't honest with them about another situation that you had, and you went in for passion because you weren't doing really well, and you took a shot at their energy, and you know they felt like they were betrayed, and now you're kind of out on your own. You don't feel victorious. You were betrayed on your situation. It's the same kind of, it's so frustrating. Here's the thing though, Libra, the ultimate, make it really, geez, this went in so far and long. Oh my God. This is a big shit show. It really is. It's time to go within yourself. It's time to, like, if this is so difficult with all of these other players, then you don't want to bring in other players. You need to it's okay that you went through something hard. It shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't get you this confused, and it shouldn't breed that much conflict. It's time to pull yourself out of this confusion. And if there's something that still bothers you to the point that you feel like you have to communicate your truth, then, you know, go ahead and do that, but don't expect anything really big from it, because you guys just don't have a good dynamic, because it seems like you guys are just both overwhelmed and you're emotionally drained, and you need to take some time out to yourselves. That's pretty much what I have for you. I think that's the best thing to do right now, is to get yourself balanced, because bringing other people in is not going to make yourself balance. It's just going to make things worse, and this is really, really muddled. Like, it's time, like, this is bringing other people in that's not, like, emotionally or mentally, like, balanced either is just going to bring in more unbalance, and it's time to go within and take a rest when you need to. It's pretty much what I have for you, Libra. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and sorry, I wish I could have gave you something a little more, but next time, bye.